6 days ago, something happened that most people are still trying to process. And I am not talking about a news headline. I am not talking about a tweet. I am talking about a moment that historians will write about for the next 100 years. Because on the 28th of February, 2026, in the middle of the night, while most of the world was sleeping, the sky over Iran lit up. And the world has not been the same since. This is the full story. From the very beginning. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly what happened, why it happened, and what it means for every single person on this planet. Stay with me. To understand this war, you have to understand one thing. This did not happen overnight. For years, the United States and Iran have been locked in a battle of words, sanctions, and threats over one single issue: nuclear weapons. Iran has always said they were not building nuclear weapons. They said their nuclear program was for energy, for medicine, for peaceful purposes. America and Israel said they did not believe that, and the evidence they were seeing told a different story. So for years, the pressure kept building. Sanctions were placed on Iran. The Iranian economy began to collapse. The Iranian currency lost most of its value. Ordinary people could not afford basic food. And the anger inside Iran kept growing. By January 2026, that anger had spilled into the streets. Protests were spreading across major Iranian cities. People were done. They wanted change. And the Iranian government was shutting those protests down with force. At the same time, America was making moves. Two of the most powerful aircraft carriers in the world, the Abraham Lincoln and the Gerald R. Ford, were quietly moved into position in the Middle East. No big announcement, no press conference, just two floating military cities getting closer and closer to Iran. In February 2026, talks began. Iran and America sat down in Geneva for 3 rounds of negotiations. The goal was a deal. Something that would stop Iran from building nuclear weapons in exchange for lifting sanctions and giving Iran relief. Iran's own foreign minister said a historic agreement was within reach. People were hopeful. Maybe this time would be different. But on the 26th of February, the 3rd round of talks ended. Both sides were still too far apart. No deal, no agreement, nothing. Trump had already given Iran a 10-day deadline to make a deal. That deadline had now run out. And what came next? Nobody who was not in that room was ready for. It was 2:30 in the morning, on the 28th of February, 2026. Most of Iran was asleep. Most of the world was asleep. And then Trump posted on Truth Social a short message, direct, no drama. Just the facts of what was already happening in the skies over Iran as he typed. Israel and America had launched a coordinated joint military attack on Iran. Israel called their operation Operation Roaring Lion. America called theirs Operation Epic Fury. Together they struck 5 major Iranian cities simultaneously: Tehran, Isfahan, Qom, Karaj, and Kermanshah, all at once. Around 2,000 strikes in the first wave alone. But this was not random destruction. This was calculated, surgical. They had a list, and they were working through it. Nuclear facilities, military bases, command centers, missile production sites, all targeted. And then, the strike that changed everything. Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, the man who had ruled Iran with absolute authority for over 30 years, was killed. His compound was hit. His security could not save him. By the time the sun came up on the 1st of March, Iranian state media had confirmed it. Khamenei was dead. Iran declared 40 days of national mourning. The internet inside Iran went dark. All flights were grounded. The country was completely cut off from the outside world. In one single night, America and Israel had decapitated the entire Iranian leadership, senior military commanders, top government officials, gone. The death toll from those first strikes crossed 1,000 people, and the world woke up to a completely different Middle East. But if anyone thought Iran would just absorb those strikes and go quiet, they were wrong. Iran launched its response almost immediately. They called it Operation True Promise IV. Dozens of ballistic missiles and drones were fired across the Persian Gulf. Not just at Israel, at every American military base in the region. Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates. All of them felt it. Explosions were heard in Doha. Drones were intercepted over Bahrain. Saudi Arabia shot down drones near its northern borders. And then the moment that made the whole world hold its breath. The United States Embassy headquarters in Riyadh was hit. A fire broke out near the United States consulate in Dubai. And then the first Americans died. 6 United States service members were killed in a direct Iranian strike on a military operations center at a port in Kuwait. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth stood in front of the cameras and confirmed it. And then said, "We are just getting started." On the waters off Sri Lanka, an American submarine sank an Iranian warship. Over 100 Iranian personnel were unaccounted for. At least 80 people were killed. The conflict had now spread from Iran to Lebanon to the Gulf to the Indian Ocean. Israel opened a second front in Lebanon, striking over 60 Hezbollah targets, killing at least 50 people. In less than a week, this had gone from a surgical strike to a full regional war. Now here is where it stops being just a Middle East story and becomes everybody's story. Oil. The Strait of Hormuz, the narrow strip of water that carries roughly 20% of the entire world's oil supply, was now in the middle of a war zone. The moment that became clear, oil prices shot up immediately. Stock markets fell. The Dow Jones dropped over 900 points in a single morning. Airlines canceled flights across the entire Middle East. Over 1 million passengers were stranded. Supply chains started shaking, and the politics inside America got complicated fast. Democrats came out against the war. Even some Republicans raised questions. The goals kept shifting. First, it was about nuclear weapons, then ballistic missiles, then regime change. Senator after senator said they were not told the full story before the strikes happened. The United States Senate scheduled a vote on the War Powers Act, a direct challenge to whether Trump even had the legal authority to launch this war without the approval of Congress. Globally, the world was split. NATO expressed support. The European Union backed regime change in Iran, but the United Kingdom refused. Trump publicly attacked British Prime Minister Keir Starmer by name for not standing with America. Inside Iran, a leadership crisis was unfolding in real time. With Khamenei gone, senior officials were meeting behind closed doors to choose a new supreme leader. His own son, Mojtaba Khamenei, was among the names being considered. A temporary 3-member council was running the country in the meantime. And the nuclear sites, the whole reason this war started, had been struck. But the United Nations nuclear watchdog confirmed as of March 2nd that there was no evidence of radioactive material being released into the environment. The full damage to those sites is still being assessed. And caught in the middle of all of this, the ordinary people of Iran. The same people who were already protesting, already suffering, already hoping for a better life, now living with no internet, no safety, and no certainty about what tomorrow looks like. As of today, March 5th, 2026, this war is 6 days old, and it is still going. Missiles are still flying. Drones are still being intercepted. People are still dying. And nobody, not Washington, not Tel Aviv, not whoever is now running Iran, nobody knows exactly how this ends. What started as a negotiation over nuclear weapons has turned into the biggest military confrontation the Middle East has seen in a generation. A supreme leader is dead. American soldiers are dead. Cities that had nothing to do with starting this conflict are caught in the crossfire. The decisions being made right now in those rooms, behind those closed doors, will shape this region and this world for the next 50 years. If you are a person of faith, this is the time to pray. Not just for one side, for the innocent people on every side who never asked for any of this. Because wars are started by the powerful, but they are survived by the ordinary. This is not the end of the story. This is just the beginning. Subscribe to Chronicles of the Faith, because in a world this uncertain, you need a channel that keeps you informed, keeps you grounded, and keeps your faith strong at the same time. Share this video right now, because people around you are confused and looking for answers. And we are here to give them that.